Let's start with a truth that feels both simple and incredibly profound. We are all works in progress. From the moment we enter this world, we are on a journey of becoming. This isn't just about getting older, it's about growing into ourselves. Psychological development is the map of that journey. It's the invisible architecture that shapes how we connect, how we love, how we lead, how we find meaning. It's the story of how we learn to trust, how we find our voice, how we learn to stand on our own 2 feet while still reaching for others. In the sacred space of therapy, this map is everything. It helps us understand where someone is, where they have been, what they might need to navigate the road ahead. So, what is this map really made of? It's a series of stages, tasks, and emotional milestones. Think about it. As infants, our entire world revolves around a single critical question. Can I trust the world to meet my needs? If we learn that the answer is yes, we build a foundation of trust that carries us forward. As toddlers, we wrestle with independence, screaming, "Me do it," as we learn to assert our will. Each stage presents a new challenge, a new opportunity for growth. It's not a perfect linear path. Life happens. We stumble. But understanding these universal human experiences is at the core of our work. It's how we make sense of the patterns that show up in our lives and in our therapy rooms. This developmental lens is not about diagnosing or labeling. It's about seeing the whole person with compassion and context. When a client struggles with perfectionism, we can see the echo of a child who learned that their worth was tied to their performance. When someone avoids intimacy, we might recognize the fear of a person whose early attempts at connection were met with pain or unpredictability. It's a framework built on empathy. It allows us to look at a behavior that might seem confusing or frustrating and ask a powerful question. What developmental need is not being met here? This shifts our perspective from judgment to curiosity, from fixing to understanding. Ultimately, psychological development matters because it reminds us that our struggles are not random. They have a story. They have roots. So, how do we know when someone is stuck? How does developmental stagnation show up in a session? It rarely walks in and introduces itself. Instead, it whispers. It feels like being on a hamster wheel running faster and faster but going nowhere. Clients often say, "I know what I should do, but I just can't." It feels like I'm hitting the same wall over and over again. There's a sense of being trapped in a pattern that no longer serves them. Relationships, career, relationship with themselves. This feeling is a profound, painful experience of being held back by an invisible force. Another clear sign is repetition of old relational dynamics. Continually choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable. Replaying an early life struggle to earn love from a distant caregiver. Someone who sabotages every success. Stuck in a stage where they learned it wasn't safe to shine or take up space. These are not conscious choices, they're powerful, unconscious pulls toward the familiar. It's as if a part of them is still a child or adolescent, trying old tools on an old problem. The therapy room becomes the stage where these old plays are reenacted. You'll hear a lot of absolutes, always and never. I'll always be alone. I'll never be good enough. Their emotional world feels small and rigid little room for possibility or self-compassion. Why do we get stuck? What are the things that cause our developmental journey to pause, sometimes for years or even decades? One of the most common reasons is trauma. Trauma, in its simplest form, is too much, too fast, too soon. It overwhelms our capacity to cope, and in an act of profound self-protection, a part of us freezes in that moment. That experience, whether it's a single event or a long-term environment of fear or neglect, creates a roadblock. The emotional and psychological energy required to move past that point on the developmental map is rerouted into just surviving. The growth task of that stage, whether it's building trust, developing autonomy, forming an identity, is left unfinished. Another significant cause is the absence of what was needed. This isn't about big, overt traumas. It's about the subtle, chronic lack of emotional attunement. It's the child whose joy was never mirrored back by a parent's smiling face. It's the teenager whose messy, confusing feelings were dismissed or ignored. When our core developmental needs, safety, connection, validation, and encouragement are not met, we can't build the next level of our psychological structure. We are left with a kind of developmental hunger. We might spend the rest of our lives trying to get that need met, often in ways that don't work, keeping us stuck in that unresolved stage. Sometimes, stagnation comes from a place of loyalty to our family system. We learn very early on the spoken rules and the unspoken rules of our tribe. In this family, we don't talk about feelings. We don't outshine our parents. To grow beyond these rules can feel like a betrayal. Developing a strong, independent voice might feel like abandoning a parent who needed you to be quiet and compliant. Choosing a different path might feel like a rejection of your family's values. This unconscious loyalty can act as a powerful brake on our development, as the fear of losing our sense of belonging can be more terrifying than the pain of staying small. Finally, fear itself is a major cause of stagnation. Growth is vulnerable. It requires stepping into the unknown, trying new ways of being, and risking failure and shame. It's messy, uncomfortable work. Staying stuck, while painful, is at least familiar. The patterns, the relationships, the self-criticism, they are a known entity. To move forward means letting go of old identities and defenses that, at one point, helped us survive. It requires a tremendous amount of courage to face the messy middle of change without knowing the outcome. It's often easier to stay in the familiar discomfort of the problem than to brave the discomfort of the solution. As therapists, how do we help? How do we become guides for clients who are stuck in these difficult places? Our most powerful tool is our own humanity. It starts with empathy, true, deep empathy. This isn't about feeling sorry for someone. It's about connecting with the part of ourselves that knows what it feels like to be scared, to feel stuck, to feel ashamed. We create a space where the client's whole story is welcome the messy parts, the stuck parts, the parts they've hidden away. We offer what Carl Rogers called unconditional positive regard, showing up with a whole and open heart, offering belonging before we ask for change. The therapeutic relationship becomes the vehicle for healing and growth. For many, it's the first secure, attuned connection, a developmental do-over. In this safe container, we help them practice what was missed. We mirror their joy. We sit with their sadness without trying to fix it. We celebrate their small steps toward autonomy. We model healthy boundaries, emotional regulation, compassionate self-talk. The relationship is a laboratory to experiment with new ways of being, knowing they have a safety net. Practically, we gently and compassionately challenge old stories. We become curious detectives, asking, where did you learn you had to be perfect to be loved? What's the story you're telling yourself about your worth? We help separate facts from ingrained narratives. We introduce self-compassion as an alternative to the inner critic, not waging war on the critic, but thanking it for trying to protect them, then inviting a kinder, wiser voice to sit at the table. We help them write a new, braver story. In the end, we are a beacon of hope. We hold belief in our clients' capacity to grow. Being stuck isn't a life sentence, it's a signpost needing care. We walk alongside them into dark, scary places with a small lantern, illuminating the next step. The journey is hard, and one of the most courageous, rewarding journeys a person can take. It's our greatest honor to be invited to walk it with them.